Boyfriend consistently neglects my pleasure during intimate moments, so I ended the relationship after I've had enough of being dry. My boyfriend, 32M, and I, 33F, have been together for 4.5 years. He has been my only intimate partner and he was the person I thought I was going to marry, but things have been rocky lately. We're trying to work through those issues, but there is one issue that I don't know if I can work through, and that has to do with intimacy. Ever since we were first intimate, he does not seem to prioritize my pleasure during the act. For the first little while, it was a lot of exploration and thought that maybe he'd need time to discover what works for me. But I noticed that there were no attempts being made. I then decided to have a conversation with him about it, where he seemed to understand and agree that it was important that we both enjoy the act. The next time the situation presented itself, he did not attempt again. I had the conversation about it with him again and he apologized and said he would try again. This continued to happen, and I continued to stay and wait. In the 4.5 years we were together, we have been intimate for 4 years and I can count, on one hand, the times he has tried, but given up. I first thought it was me and that I was the problem. So I went to therapy and spoke to a therapist about this. She asked me if I have been able to in the past, and I told her I have. She asked me if I communicate with my partner about what works for me and what does not before the act and during, and I have too. She told me that I am not the problem and it seems that my partner is just not interested in equality in that realm of the relationship and that it likely extends beyond that too. I thought, maybe just some one-on-one time away would help, so I have booked countless Airbnbs for us, cottage getaways, city staycations, you name it. But nothing has been enough for him to prioritize me in that sense. I had a final conversation and about this and he promised that from then on, that would be his priority. A few days ago he had 2 opportunities but he did not try. Today, he called me saying that he would like to dedicate some time to just making sure that I was pleasured, this week. I told him that I decided that I don't want to be intimate with him any longer. And then he proceeded to fight with me on the phone. I politely told him I was not interested in fighting and I hung up. Update 1BF, 32M, called just now, after not having spoken or reached out in about 48 hours. Also it's his birthday this weekend, and he told me, GF, 33F, in a very somber voice, that he missed me so very much and that he was incredibly sad that we hadn't spoken in a couple days. I could hear he was driving and I was on his car's Bluetooth. I asked him where he was headed to, and, without pause, he told me that he was on his way to a last-minute party invited his friend's house, which is about 1.5 hours away. But he quickly followed up with, it's just a distraction because I miss you and love you so much. I asked him, if he was truly missing me and wanted to work things out, as he said on the phone, and had an evening free, how is it that he didn't consider reaching out to spend some time together to discuss things? It's not like we had discussed not seeing each other. The last time we spoke, I asked him why things that were important to me were not to him and he was silent, and I didn't hear from him again. Of note, I have enough respect for him that I decided if a breakup was right, which is likely, I would have that conversation in person. But that has not happened in the 48 hours since we last spoke. He had no response and then after a pause, he asked if I had some time tomorrow to sit down to talk instead, given he was looking forward to the party now. I started crying because it made me incredibly sad to realize this was all just a game to him. All talk. Completely disingenuous. No heart. Update, E2 after my post, I had to travel for work/school, I am a PhD student, and it turned out to be very helpful for me to distance myself from him and his family. Where and when I thought back to his mom and sister crying about our breakup, and of course I felt for them in moments, your thoughtful comments reassured me that his family's tears for our reconciliation were more tactic-based than genuine. I often travel for school. I'm a PhD student in STEM at an Ivy League, which, for better or worse due to the size and funding of the institute, entails many international conference presentations and the dissemination of research results. There have been likely over a dozen such events over the course of my degree, and I have asked him to come to every one, discussing how his support in person would mean so much to me. His responses were always, oh I'd love to. I'll try. When I was at the meeting destination and he still was trying, I'd offer to send him a ticket. I'd send him screenshots of tickets available for him to purchase. I'd reassure him that all expenses were already paid for and he'd just have to worry about the flight expenses. But he never came. I brought up these scenarios this time I was away, and I asked him, genuinely, why nothing that was important to me was of value to him. I realize this sounds hyperbolic, but I assure you, it breaks my heart to admit that it is not. He did not have an answer when I asked. His response was merely, nothing I say matters. What do you want me to say? Sounds like you have made up your mind about me not caring. I was upset, I was disappointed, but above all else, I realized I deserved more. He went radio silent for the next couple of days and the next time I heard from him was 3 a.m., a few days later when he called night before my presentations, that were scheduled in the morning, to wish me luck. And I did not hear from him again. I flew back to our city a few days later and I called him the following day. We spoke, and he was clearly very congested. He told me he had not slept in days, and had to go into work but was feeling horrid. I quickly went and picked up a vaporizer for him, picked up his favorite foods from 2 restaurants and drove to his work, to drop off the items and see him. He hugged me and reminded me that we hadn't seen each other in 10 days. In the moment, I missed him. I loved him. I was stupid and I fell for it again. Fast forward 48 hours, and I messaged him saying it would be nice if we could spend some time together and talk about things. I let him know that while I enjoy spending time with his family, which was almost all of our significant recent in-person interactions, I felt it was important that we spend some one-on-one time with each other too. He responded with, "Okay. I'll plan." I then asked if he had some time to perhaps discuss some ideas together and, I'm not sure why, but he went off the rails and said that I need everything to happen immediately and for me to give him some time and that I was being unreasonable. Something in me felt different, and so I pushed the topic and I stood up for myself. I called him out on his bluffs. I let him know that historically his all-plan statements were dismissive in the sense that they would diffuse a situation but nothing would come of them. He said that I was lying. So then I reminded him of his many lies and inconsistencies in the relationship. I know I should have just stayed quiet, the old me would have. But I couldn't take the beating. See, he would often make these grand promises and never follow through. "I'll buy you insert designer brand jacket, you should get the insert designer brand bracelet to go with your necklace. Let's go grab it one day, that's your favorite car? Insert fancy brand, I feel like you would look great in a black one. I'll buy it for you." For context and background, I've worked very hard for what I have and I've been fortunate to not have to ask him to buy me anything. In the 4.5 years we were together, I have bought every item of clothing, jewelry, and material item otherwise, that I have wanted. Including the car I drive. Where he had paid for a dinner, I would make sure I paid for the next. If he refused to accept my paying at the restaurant, I would pay attention to things he mentioned he needs and I would pick those items up for him. I was never a financial burden because early on in the relationship, he told me his ex-GF of 5 years had been. He told me that he spent $40,000 on her apartment furniture and that she had his credit card for spending. He told me that she had another $20,000 of his for her spending account for when they went out together. I believed him, like all the other lies he told me, because why would someone lie about these situations and topics? See, I was not certain how hyperbolic and dishonest these scenarios were, these promises that he made me, until I tested them, last night. I said, "Hey, I have an idea as to how you can make up my missed birthday. Remember that car, jacket and bracelet you always talked about? Let's go grab those, please." He paused. And he asked me 3 times if I was being serious. I told him I most certainly was. I sent him a link to the items. He said okay. And I said that I had a stipulation. My current car was not financed. His current car is not financed. And so I wanted the car bought out. He said, "Nope. I'm not buying a $40,000 car in cash. Enjoy your insert my car. It's a beautiful car." For reference, I drive a Japanese car that he has made snarky remarks about and he says beautiful sarcastically because he has commented on how ugly the color is. Although it's a newer model and reliable, it's not fancy. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with it. I enjoy my car. In comparison, he drives a German car that is older and more expensive by nature of its branding. While my car is technically worth more than his, he always makes fun of my car and while I have asked that he stop, he tells me that I cannot take a joke. I realize that there are some nuances here that likely point to his insecurities. After his sarcasm about my car, I really had enough. I said, "I guess the $40,000 you spent on ex-GF's apartment was financed too." Noted. And off the rails he went. His messages were as follows: "WTF. Bro, where the F/CK are you getting all this SHT? Her apartment was given to her by her work. WTF are you talking? I never ever said anything along those lines. Now you are making me mad. Please stop here. I never said anything like that. Curses come out cause now I'm fkin mad. How many fkin times I told you she borrowed money for furniture which she paid back slowly. And yes, my money was with her which I did take back. There was no mention of any 40k. WTF. There was nothing for 40k. WTF. Read what I said above and keep reading until it stays in your goddamn head. I did not lie about this and I am not going to repeat myself over and over. Thanks for the last 3 hours of fixing things. It was a fucking waste of time. STFU. Yeah, I lied but you can't be wrong, right? STFU. Here, take a picture. I don't need your this kind of love. Keep it to yourself. And go make someone else insane. Go take someone else's sanity. And then you lecture about love and fkin care. Enjoy your night now. Mission accomplished. I did not respond until earlier today when I messaged asking to meet. I then called asking about the same thing. He usually does not work late on Tuesdays and so I asked if we could meet and discuss things in person. He said, "You don't know my fucking schedule. I'm at work until late today. I don't want to see you or speak to you in person. Who the FCK do you think you are?" And that's when I hung up. A few hours later, I called again and I asked him if he would like to meet after work. "I don't mind waiting." He said no. I asked him if things were over then, and he said, "When were we together? You wanted to leave, didn't you? So he, is me letting you leave. You were the one that walked away. You broke up a few weeks ago, remember? When were we ever together? We didn't get back together. Let me remind you. We were over. You made sure we were over. So yes, we're over. You made sure of that." So then I said, "Okay, I understand. Thank you." I took a few hours to just have that settle in. And then I called his sister to ask if I could drop something off at their door and she could just make sure that it's placed inside. I wanted to drop off the promise ring he gave me because I feel there are no promises he has kept. She did not pick up. I called 4 times. I messaged his mom too. No responses or replies from either. I guess the tears were a tactic. Just like silencing me by ignoring all of my calls. I spoke with my best friend and she suggested just leaving him the cash equivalent of the ring in an envelope with a note. But I don't know what the note should say. So any help or suggestions would be helpful. Things are over and I know this is the best thing for me. I cried quite a lot this afternoon. I cried for his twisting of the narrative. I cried for allowing someone to make me feel less than for so many years. I cried at the time I lost. I cried at the love I gave and the abuse I endured. But at least we're not together anymore, officially now. Update 3. So, here's what happened. I'm a PhD student in STEM at an Ivy League, which, for better or worse due to the size and funding of the institute, entails many international conference presentations and the dissemination of research results. After my original post, I had to travel for work/school, and it turned out to be very helpful for me to distance myself from him and his family. Where and when I thought back to his mom and sister crying about our breakup, and of course I felt for them in moments, your thoughtful comments reassured me that his family's tears for our reconciliation were more tactic-based than genuine. The interactions with my BF while I was away were limited and unpleasant. When I returned I reached out to him to try and discuss the situation between us, but the discussions turned volatile and verbally abusive. Some lies he told were brought to light, his responses were disrespectful, and he broke up with me. I was immediately emotional and decided that the promise ring he had gifted me should be returned to him. I reached out to his family, whom I believed I always had a lovely relationship with, to ask if someone was home for me to drop something off that belonged to him. I called a few times. I sent a text message. I received no responses last night. This was very uncharacteristic. I then thought to send the ring back, but I was not sure if it should be the monetary value of the ring or the ring itself. I posted on here asking about what the note should be, if there even should be one with the ring. So I posted a very long-winded update and I headed to sleep. I woke up this morning and I came to campus and have been reading through your responses, and the ones that are helpful are the ones that help me to realize that there is no point in returning anything. There is no point in spending more money, time, or energy on him or his family. There is no point in trying to help unreasonable people see reason through discussion or conversation. Truly, there is no point. I have decided, upon taking your comments into consideration, that it is best that I store the ring away in some box, at the back of my closet, and maybe in some time, when I have distanced myself emotionally from the situation and worked on moving on in a healthy way, with much introspection. Yes, I realize this entails therapy that has already been booked. I can decide on what to do with the ring, whether that's sell it and donate the money to a charity. Thank you for that wonderful suggestion, or throw it away. Posting on Reddit provides an unbiased space to share experiences and thoughts, and while I'm relatively new to this space, I appreciate all of the feedback and consideration from those individuals who were brash and honest, to those individuals who were unkind in their words, but mostly to those individuals who were honest, but kind in their interactions. The world needs more of you. Thank you. In the meantime, as some kind individuals who inboxed me separately suggested, I will focus on myself, on spending time with my family and friends who love me. I will work on rebuilding my self-confidence. I will work on learning to love myself more so that I never allow something like this to happen again. Update for my ex-BF, 33M, joined the gym that I, 33F, attend in order for us to work out together when we were together. I expressed my reservations at the start, but he did not really care to listen. Once he did start working out with me and I realized I was actually even more uncomfortable than I had even thought, I had some conversations about it with him when we were dating. I asked if he could consider going to another gym for no other reason than we should have activities, time, and space that are our own/separate, because space and individuality is important. He got into a huge fight with me and refused to leave the gym. This was still during his trial period, so he could have left without any financial penalty. I was locked into a 1-year membership at that point and still am. If I leave, I'm liable for a huge penalty, so it is not financially feasible for me to leave/move gyms. Additionally, the gym is a boutique gym, so it only has one location. I have a very demanding schedule and can only head to the gym for a workout during one time in the day. He also comes by at that time, even though his schedule is more flexible than mine. Last time I saw his car parked there after the breakup, I just left, but it's not fair that I have to move my life around for him. The breakup was rough and we have not spoken since. If I do see him again, how do I handle it?